Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Jacob Rudner talking some national college baseball storylines coming up in 30 minutes. Done some LSU football, done some Saints football, done some LSU baseball. Let's start the hour with college basketball. Can I start with the women for a second and say something? Jordan, I apologize. I'm just having a hard time taking a physical altercation between a 72-year-old man and a 55-year-old 5'6" woman,
very small,
very seriously. I'm sorry, Dawn Staley walking around saying I'm gonna whip Gino's ass. Like he's 72. I can't take it seriously. I said this last week when we were talking about ejections. I'm so non-confrontational that like my blood doesn't get boiling over stupid stuff, what people say and whatnot. So if this was going on and I was out there, I would just be laughing. I would be laughing at both of them. I would be laughing at them. Now, they are wildly successful people. They are phenomenal basketball coaches. Their programs are incredible. They got a ton of hardware.
Two of the very best, some would say.
This fight, I can't take it seriously. If you got two NBA dudes that are beefing, that's a real thing. I can't take this seriously.
Yeah, well, my issue is I really don't understand what exactly is the problem. Apparently, she didn't shake his hand or before the game or something like that, and then
they gave each other a big hug last year. Yeah, and somebody was running that back on Twitter.
So that's where I'm confused. That was it. The issue was that she didn't shake her hand before the game, and he came and confronted her, and then she did what she did. Like, I'm just so lost at the fact that we're talking about two of the most successful women basketball coaches. Like, these aren't just some Randy Scrandies.
Yeah.
Like, these are the very top of the profession, and this is what happens. Like at the end of a game like this, I know tempers are high. You can't be at that level and not be a competitor like that and, hate losing more than winning. Yeah. But for that to transpire for two of the very best, I can't believe that.
That was a wild scene there, but UCLA stole the show in that one. Incredible effort by those guys. Lauren Betts, very tall, very good.
You seen her little brother?
No.
He's 16. He's 7'3".
7'3"?
7'3" at 16, yeah.
Who are these parents?
Exactly, yes.
Oh my gosh. As far as the men's side goes, I was super bummed out Saturday night. Like, I was ready to lock in for that game. I thought it was going to be awesome. It was not.
Oh, the Michigan one?
Yeah. Michigan beat them by 20, and they didn't have Lindenberg.
Yeah, he rolled his ankle. Yeah. He wears the extremely old Jordan 13s, rolls his ankle, and you would have thought that, Arizona, a team all year, like they've been great all year. But Michigan, what was crazy, Hunt, is because Michigan got up so early and just put them to bed. Arizona never had a chance ever since that point on, even with Lindenberg in and out the game.
I'll tell you this. I actually watched for a lot of the first half the Fab Five broadcast. Did you see this?
I seen it, but I didn't watch their broadcast. No, I did see it.
I liked it. Like, I would never want to watch LSU like that.
Okay.
But I don't have a rooting interest in
no
this.
horse in the race.
And I thought it was interesting to hear those guys to talk about old memories, talk about Michigan basketball, and that there was a rift. Like, C-Web was not digging it.
There was beefing.
He wasn't in the documentary they did, and so it was. There was a time there where things were not great. I think when Juwan Howard got hired by Michigan, that's pretty easy to bring everybody back in when you've got a guy that was part of the team on there. But those guys I thought were entertaining. I thought it was cool to watch it with them, especially in a bad game. If it would have gotten really close late, I probably would have switched over to the traditional telecast, but I liked watching Fab Five thing. Michigan was just so impressive. They're so big, and they cause so many problems for Arizona's offense. Arizona shot 37% in the game, and it was not a 37% I thought was just a terrible shooting night for Arizona. I thought they had trouble getting shots.
Yeah.
And it is a shot-making sport, but you got to get the ones and create the high percentage stuff. And Arizona just couldn't. And, oh, by the way, Michigan scored 91 points. So
I like to do it to everybody.
It's just it's great coaching. It's great players. It's a great combination. You would have told me that they were only going to get 14 minutes out of Lindenberg. I just don't think I would have said that they could win the game by 18 points, but they just ran away from Arizona. That's an Arizona team that went into this game 36-2.
Yeah.
Dusted them. 20-point win without their best player. That's wild. So now you transition to tonight. And I saw a great graphic today and I don't have it anymore, so I don't know what the teams are. But Alex Caravan has like more NCAA tournament wins than like all these programs.
Oh yeah, he's been around the block. He's been around the block.
He's bidding tonight to become the most successful non-UCLA player ever. Obviously, Wooden's UCLA teams won like 100 in a row. So they literally won 88 games in a row. So he can't beat those guys in terms of championships, but to win a third championship would be crazy. And I actually think he's a big key to this game because you can't beat Michigan. Like, UConn can't beat Michigan 66-62. Like, you have to go score 80 to beat Michigan. And for UConn to do that, he's got to shoot better. I saw the statistics, 3 of 18 in the last 2 games from the floor, only 2 of 13 from 3. He's not their best player, but he is an important player, and he needs to shoot better. If you're going to take shots, he's got to make them, and he's not right now, and that's something they got to do. I love watching UConn play offense.
Yes.
If I haven't watched a lot of UConn or haven't paid, like, watch when they play, they never stop moving.
Their sets are beautiful.
It's constant motion all the time. And I'm okay with doing things different ways offensively. I can appreciate different styles of basketball, but like Hurley's got those dudes knowing where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do, and it's beautiful to watch, and it's hard to defend because they put you constantly in decision mode defensively, on the ball and off the ball, and it's constantly moving. And Michigan's defense is up to that challenge, but as I said on Friday, like, I'm not in the business of discounting UConn. I'm picking Michigan to win the game.
Yeah, that's
but I'm not saying, well, they blew out Arizona, they're going to blow out. They're not blowing UConn out. I don't think they're going to blow UConn out.
Yeah, no, you already said that Michigan was your national champion, so that's where you're at. Your line has been drawn in the sand. But
it's not going to be 91-73 was the Arizona score. I will be surprised if they run away from UConn.
I would be very surprised too, just because of the stat I gave you last week that UConn, every time they're in the Final Four, they never lose.
Yeah,
they are going for 7-7, 7 times in the national championship game. Like, they haven't lost, so it's hard not to back that. But this Michigan team is talented, and Dusty May. I don't think you've seen it because you were probably watching the LSU game, but the Illinois game before.
I did not see.
Yeah, he was at the game. He was there courtside scouting them. He was scouting them right before Arizona and Michigan played. So this guy, if anybody's more confident in his team, Dusty May is confident in Michigan.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. The storyline is better if UConn wins.
Yes,
because you get Hurley on the mic, and you just never know what's going to happen. I don't like the way Danny Hurley acts. It's not illegal, and if he was my coach, I wouldn't care. I just show me how you win games.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's sending a bunch of flowers to Will Wade or Lane Kiffin these days. So it is what it is. But I do think he's incredible. It's just incredible. Because at Duke, they've got 3 of the top 8 picks in the draft every year, and he usually doesn't.
Nope.
And this team doesn't have like a slam dunk dude at the top of the draft, but he can coach a man, and they're going to sit down and guard you. They're going to go get the ball off the glass, and they're going to move on offense and make you play defense. Even if it takes a whole shot clock, they're going to make you move. I appreciate him so much as a coach. I don't like him as a dude, but I do think it's interesting when he gets on the microphone, and if that does happen, that'll be a heck of a story. I mean, he was already puffing his chest out saying, like, the sport goes through us when they won the last one. So if he does it again,
he's right.
With a team people kind of counted out. Like, there was a time that you could, Jimmy would know this. There was a time when you could get UConn at a big old price.
Oh, he knows. He knows that. He knows the price for everybody. Jimmy probably has it in a book. Jimmy takes the notes. Like, he has it documented. Yeah. I promise you, he has it documented. But Hunt, this is the best part about all this, what you just said about this UConn team. In the past, they had Donovan Clingan, that Jordan Hawkins. Like, they've had NBA guys. This team specifically, maybe Tyrus Reed, Other than that, there's really no guys where you're like, okay, this guy's a slam dunk first-round pick. He's got a bunch of transfer ragtag, a couple guys, Caravan, been around forever, and he's about to go do it. Like, I love that these are guys that came up in a program, just some ragtag guys he found.
7's too many points, so I would take the points.
Take the points?
I would take the points.
Take the points.
But I got Michigan winning it. That's who I had in my bracket. I don't think any of the rest of my bracket was any good at all, but I did have Michigan winning it, which is not that. It's a one.
That's impressive, though. No, that's impressive.
Not that impressive. It'd be impressive if I had, like the Kemba Walker UConn team. That would be impressive. Yeah. This is just one of the chalk teams, but I think they're the best. I think they'll win. I expect UConn to be right in the mix with it tonight when they play at midnight. basically. But I'll stay up till one shining moment. No doubt. I got to see one shining moment. Got to see it. So we'll see. All right, let's transition. We got some baseball talk coming up in 15 minutes. We'll get back to it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. I talked about hurricanes with the insurance when I talked to you about the Howard Insurance Group earlier. It applies to your Generac home standby generator as well. Don't wait until hurricane season's here to get that generator put in. Just make that plan to do it now. Call Boudreaux's Electrical, family-owned and operated. Neil and Melissa have been at it for 40 years. Give them a call and make sure that generator is in place by the time hurricane season rolls around. Because whether you ride the hurricane out and you want that power to stay on, or you evacuate, you come back to a neighborhood that doesn't have power, we've all been back in that house that's 97 degrees and the fridge has all got to be thrown out and the freezer's all ruined. It's miserable. Don't do that. Have that Generac home standby generator put in from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical. Give yourself the peace of mind to know the power's not going to go out on you. Give Boudreaux's Electrical a call, 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562 or 225-300-9389. That's 225-300-9389. Boudreaux's Electrical.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Shout out to the folks at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Reminder that they service all makes in the service department there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. So if you're in the area there in St. Francisville, want to stop in and get that car all tuned up, they can do it for you at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. And a reminder, if you've got a summer road trip coming up at the beginning of summer when the kids just get out of school and you're looking for a new SUV, they've got them at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You might be looking for a Yukon or a Denali on the GMC side, maybe a Suburban or a Tahoe on the Chevy side. They've got them. Check out the entire inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com. Fabry Chevrolet GMC on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Let's talk about Zach Cowan, because I didn't in the first 30 minutes of the show. We talked about LSU's big series win over the Vols in Knoxville. Zach Cowan took the ball on Sunday and went 4 innings, allowed 2 runs, but neither was earned. Just gave up 1 hit and really held the rope for LSU to try to stay in that game. He's been sensational. And you look at his SEC numbers, 12 1/3 innings pitched over 4 games, 12 1/3. He's only allowed 3 hits in 12 1/3. He has not given up an earned run yet in 12 1/3. He's got 16 strikeouts and 1 walk in 12 1/3. He has been a difference maker for LSU. And this is a role that we have seen evolve in Jay Johnson's time in Baton Rouge. What kind of started with Paul Gervais and Eric Raiselman and developed 2 years later with Griffin Herring was taken on last year by Kason Evans and Zach Cowan, and then Chase Shores took it. It's that dominant reliever that's good for 9 outs that you get the ball to in that first chance in a weekend to win, and you let him run. And he's been brilliant in these SEC games. 12 1/3 innings of no earned run baseball with 16 strikeouts and 1 walk on just 3 hits. That's special stuff. And in that ballpark, you really need to miss some bats. And Tennessee's guys did that for the most part. Like I was telling you, Mac had 10 strikeouts between Appenzeller and Coons. They struck out 7 on Saturday. And Cowan didn't miss as many bats. He only had 3 strikeouts in those 4 innings, but the quality of Tennessee's contact just wasn't very good. And it's really with just that fastball changeup repertoire. He'll flip a breaking ball in there occasionally. But the outlier for Cowan at LSU is now the last 3 regular season weeks, College Station and Columbia last year, and the Little Rock game, plus his first 2 outings this year. Those 4 or 5 outings are dissimilar to the vast majority of his outings over 2 seasons, which have been excellent. His heartbeat is slow. He rarely walks people. and he doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. He did at A&M. He did at South Carolina. He did against Little Rock, and he did early in the season this year. But since he turned it on around SEC play, he's been fantastic. And that's a guy that I feel like you can absolutely trust. LSU is in a situation here where you're trying to eat outs. You don't have Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson, and you don't have a third starter right now. You're trying to cobble that together. Guidry wasn't good against Kentucky. Fontenot, got you off to the start this week with 2 innings. But you need to eat outside of the bullpen, because Kason Evans got you 5 2/3. William Schmidt got you 5 2/3. That leaves some meat on the bone in those games, and then you don't have anybody to extend on Sunday. And he didn't want to start Cowan, but got him out there, and he was sensational. And I feel really, really good about him in that spot. And oh, by the way, awesome job by Gavin Guidry. It goes unnoticed because of the onslaught and the 10 runs that LSU picked up in the 12th, but he walked a high wire there for 4 innings and got it done. He got a little bit fortunate with the wind and the great catch by Derek Curiel in center field, but you look at the stat line for Gavin Guidry late in the game on Sunday: 5 1/3, only 2 hits and 1 run. He walked 1 and struck out 1. It wasn't the strikeout numbers for Guidry, but he was in the strike zone enough to go ahead and get those outs that he needed. And he made the bad pitch that really irritated me. I thought Josh Elander got let off the hook, and he almost won the game, and I thought it was a terrible decision. When Tennessee got that hit in the 9th, it was a flare off Brown's bat that went into center field. I thought bunting the 7-hole hitter there was a ridiculous decision by Josh Elander off Guidry, because you gave LSU an out there, and then you've got 8 and 9 coming up. 8 was Levi Clark, who's had a terrible season. He's hitting 100-something in SEC play. And then you got Abernathy coming up, who's been awful as well. You got your worst 2 hitters coming up, and you need a hit from those guys. And that's what he bunted for. And then Clark hits the sac fly because Guidry threw the 1 wild pitch that moved the runner to third base. He was out there for 5 1/3 innings, and he made 1 atrocious pitch, but it was so bad that it bounced over into the dugout and allowed the runner to go to third base, and then Tennessee was able to knock him in with the sac fly. I thought they let Elander off the hook there. I thought it was a bad decision that he made to bunt that, to bunt with a 7-hole guy. But outside of that bad wild pitch, Guidry was phenomenal as well. You've seen the bullpen roles change a little bit over time. Sheeran's been pretty high leverage all year. Guidry's been pretty high leverage all year. Cowan has worked his way into that, and then they're just kind of seeing what they've got with the rest of the guys. Lockenmeyer was good at one point, and he was not as good on Sunday. Rizzi came in and walked 2 guys, and he got 2 outs. Santiago Garcia came in and walked a guy. He only got 1 out. So it's a mixed bag with a lot of guys, and they're trying to find those roles and develop those guys. But the thing that has been consistent since it started was Cowan's role there. So that's where you are in the bullpen. Let me kind of finish this pitching segment off with the starters. I thought both guys were pretty good. They were pretty good. Evans goes 5 2/3. He gave up 6 hits and 3 runs. He struck out 6 and walked 2, 90 pitches. I thought he was okay. I thought Schmidt was pretty good, but neither guy has developed into that dominant guy. They're both doing a nice job. And that's something that I wrestled with this weekend, and how to feel about that. I think they're talented. I think they have the ability to be great. I don't know that they're great right now. I think you're looking at a pair of guys who kind of feel like 2s. You don't have a lead dog, and you don't have a guy that you can really count on for 6 or 7 innings. And I don't know how fair it is to always compare them right back to Anderson, Skeens, Lang, Nola, whatever, but it's all I have to work off of. And with Evans, that's now 4 SEC starts, and 3 of them have been or not good, and one of them was awesome. And I'm just hoping for a little bit more awesome. And I thought Tennessee might be a pretty good matchup for them because they do strike out a little bit. Ole Miss strikes out a ton, and that's who we'll see this weekend. But they're not doing a bad job. I don't mean to be disparaging about them. I just mean to say it's just not quite to the championship level. That's what I see from them. And so I feel pretty good when they're on the mound. And I think that Schmidt deserves a lot of credit for throwing a lot more strikes this year than he did last year. He deserves a lot of credit for getting the 7 punch-outs on Saturday. He didn't get any help in his offense, but it's just good. And I'm hoping for great. The way this team takes the next step and becomes a contender is those two guys. And it's a lot to put on them, but the offense has woken up a little bit. The defense is what it is. This is not going to be appreciably different. But the offense is waking up a little bit, and you've got some guys that you trust out of the bullpen that are veterans. The next step for this LSU team needs to come from the starting 2. And if Moore comes back, great. Jay Johnson will, I'm sure, talk about that tomorrow or Wednesday. But Schmidt and Evans are the 2 guys that can change planes on this thing. And I didn't think they did that over the weekend. They were good enough to keep LSU in games. LSU was in the game on Saturday, in the game on Friday. But they weren't great. And that's kind of the bar that you're looking at LSU. We'll see what they do against Ole Miss. There's still a lot of season left. Still a lot of time to kick it into gear. But this is about the time where Anderson and Ianson kicked it into gear last year. And Schmidt and Evans are not quite there yet. We'll see. We will certainly see. Let's talk about that as well as some national college baseball storylines, some SEC college baseball storylines. Jacob Rudner covers the sport for Baseball America. He'll be back with us. Big picture stuff next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is the website, but don't go to the website. Just go to Swing Easy Golf Club. It's on Segan at Perkins. It's a great place to play some golf. There's a pretty big tournament this week, if you hadn't heard. Coming up over the weekend. Give out some clothing at the end. If you want to play that course on the simulator, you can. We've done it. It's a lot of fun. You hit your tee shots, hit those iron shots, you chip and putt, you card a score. You can play it from the members' tees. You can play it from the championship tees as well. If you want to do that while you're watching the tournament, you can do that over the weekend because they got televisions in there in every individual bay. You can get a bucket of beers, seltzers delivered to your room. It's an awesome, awesome spot at Swing Easy Golf Club. Go by and see them. They're on Segan at Perkins. Hit some golf shots, work on your game, play that course they play the famous tournament at. It's a great spot. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Tigers have won 2 weekends in a row. Took 2 or 3 from Kentucky in dramatic fashion at the box 2 weeks ago. And, of course, the theatrics in Knoxville over the weekend, a 10-run 12th inning for LSU as they come home with 2 or 3 from Rocky Top. Jacob Rudner covers college baseball for Baseball America. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Monday. Jacob, we appreciate that time. How are you?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing better than we were a couple weeks ago. Things were a little dicey, still are a little dicey for LSU baseball, but a couple of winning weeks in a row. I guess we'll start with the home team and get to some of the national storylines to follow. Where are you with LSU? I know y'all did not rank them in this morning's top 25, but they have won a couple in a row.
Yeah, we were feeling a lot better about LSU, and they were close. It was definitely a part of the conversation last night. We were trying to figure out our top 25. It was just at a point right now where you consider the body of work overall, and we didn't know that it was, definitively better than some of the teams that we put towards the back of the poll. Maybe there was an argument that you bump out a team like Arkansas and put LSU in, but we thought that it was fringe enough that Arkansas was already in the poll, LSU wasn't, and one more week of just seeing what the Tigers do wouldn't hurt. That being said, from a projection standpoint, we are starting to feel a lot better about the Tigers. I'll give you a sneak preview of our Field of 64 projection that comes out on Wednesday. We have LSU in there as the last 2 seed, 2 seed number 32 in the UCLA Regional. I think on their current trajectory, that probably makes the most sense. Their RPI will balloon, just as conference play continues to go on. We think that it's a good team. We obviously felt that way before the season, and now they're kind of starting to play like the team that we expected again. And so is there work to still do? Of course, but I feel a lot better about where they stand. I think it's a little bit more of a solidified tournament resume than it felt like even a week ago and certainly 2 weeks ago. And so we'll just continue to see. Obviously, they'll have to continue this play. But again, I do think that this is a much better spot for LSU than it was, 14 days ago.
You mentioned LSU getting sent out to UCLA. They did that after a national championship in 2009, so history will be repeating itself. I don't see Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer on that team in Westwood, but they're pretty damn good. What can you tell us about the way that UCLA is playing right now against an overmatched Big Ten?
I think that a lot of the conversation about West Coast baseball, and this dates back years, is just the style of play that exists. It's a lot of strike-throwing pitchers, maybe not the most powerful lineups in the country. And I think that there are elements of that to what UCLA does. They do throw a ton of strikes, regularly over 60%, which is kind of that you're going to win the game threshold for a pitching staff over the course of the game. They do have a lot of guys who are very good at passing the baton to the next. They're able to hit, for power. They're able to hit for average. Where I think that this UCLA team is different from the historic West Coast mold is the stuff on the mound that is in the zone is excellent. You've got multiple pitchers that are over 95 miles per hour. Hal Randall came out of the bullpen this weekend and touched 100. And then the lineup, of course, is actually a powerful group. Rock Chalowski, of course, is the headline name. He's more than capable of putting the ball over the wall. But Will Gasparino, former SEC player, has lots of juice to his bat. Mulavaile Vu hit 2 home runs last night. Even Dean West, who's a little bit of an undersized, back up the middle type profile left fielder for them, is somebody who can go and hit a couple of home runs. So it's a lineup that does a lot of the traditional West Coast things well. But what makes this group different is that it is A, very talented when it comes to the MLB draft conversations, but B, it's a little bit more talented in the way that we see in the SEC, the power pitching and the power hitting. And it all comes together to make what I think is by far the best team in the country. By far.
That's interesting. Let's talk about Georgia Tech a little bit. That's another team that's had a great go outside the Southeastern Conference where we're kind of insulated in our bubble. What can you tell us about Georgia Tech?
It's an outstanding offense, and it's been that way the entire season. Drew Burress was kind of the headliner coming into the year, just given the production that he's had throughout his college career. Von Lackey, the catcher, has kind of taken over that conversation. He's our number 5 prospect in the 2026 draft. Very good athlete. I've had a couple of scouting directors tell me that they think that he could be a prospect, even if he was a third baseman or an outfielder, just with how athletic he is. He's a great hitter. And there are a number of guys throughout that lineup that are very, very good at taking advantage of the ballpark that they play in, which is offensively friendly, but they also continue to hit when they go away from home. And we've seen them do that even when they go across the country to a team like Cal that isn't necessarily the most challenging in the world, but those kinds of trips are not easy for a team like Georgia Tech that's not used to them at this point in the calendar. And they went out there and they picked up a sweep. So it's an impressive team. I think their pitching staff has maybe surprised a couple of people. That was the question going into the year, was whether or not they were going to be able to pitch in games. We all knew that they were going to be able to hit. And we've seen now already a couple of times that they can certainly do that. When they were at NC State, for example, those were lower scoring games. They didn't run away with any of them. And their pitching held tough. The bullpen's been really good. Is it the most stuff-heavy team relative to maybe what we're used to seeing in the SEC, or even with a team like UCLA? I still wouldn't say that, but I do think that it's a really competitive group that's around the zone and does a lot of the right things in order to put the game in a good situation for the offense to go win it.
I'm kind of monitoring the top teams in the country in the event that LSU does have to travel for a regional. You can't go to an SEC team, so I'm trying to keep tabs on some of these potential destinations for LSU should the Tigers not host. Let's talk about teams in the SEC now, and Jacob Rudner is our guest from Baseball America. What do you make of Alabama? That's a team that got swept in the opener of conference play, and I kind of thought they were going to be a team that maybe struggled to make the field of 64, and now all of a sudden they've just ripped off 3 incredible weekends in a row. How good are they?
Well, that makes 2 of us. I'll be perfectly honest with you. In my preseason field of 64, I did not have Alabama making the field. It's a loaded SEC. There's a very harsh cut line once you get towards that number 12, number 13 team. I had Alabama on the wrong side of that. I am not afraid to admit it. I didn't think that they had the pieces to be as competitive as they are, but they look really great. And they're as top as anybody in the country. They've got 9 top 25 wins, which is tied with UCLA for the most in the country. They do have 2 top 25 losses, which UCLA doesn't have. But I don't know that there's a lot of teams, or really any teams, that are hotter in the country. 8-4 in the SEC. Their pitching staff has been very good, led by Tyler Fay, who obviously threw the no-hitter a couple of weeks ago. I think that this is a team that looks like it's going to be able to host. It certainly controls its own destiny. I think that at this point in the calendar, if you're going to play as well as Alabama is in this conference, you do have a little bit of a security safety net behind you to maybe have one or two more bad weekends. But again, on their current trajectory, we're looking at a potential national seed, which is where we're probably going to project them for on Wednesday.
I'm curious your thoughts on four pretty powerful brands that have spent a lot of time in Omaha over the last 3 or 4 years: Tennessee, LSU, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. None of them exactly where they want to be right now. Who do you think may be in the most trouble amongst that group of 4 teams?
There's no question it's Tennessee right now. It's just been some uninspiring baseball. At 4-8 in the SEC, we don't have them in our field of 64 at the moment. We don't plan to have them in our field of 64 on Wednesday. Last week, they were one of the first 4 teams out. This week, I don't anticipate them even being one of the 8 bubble teams that we list out. The RPI is down to 45, which at this point is starting to become a little bit more relevant. At 20-12 overall, not terribly impressive considering who they play. And if you kind of go through the results that they've had, even in non-conference play, it wasn't terribly impressive. You got the series loss to Kent State at home. I think that ends up being a little bit louder than it maybe could have been towards the end of the year, considering how they're playing now. And the offense just really isn't moving the needle at the moment. You got a couple of players like Henry Ford and Blaine Brown, who I do think are well above average contributors. I think Brown in particular is a really standout player who's going to go well in next year's draft. But beyond those guys, there are really only a handful of contributors who have been consistent. Reese Chapman is one of them. They've been able to count on him for a number of years. That hasn't really changed. Levi Clark is starting to look a little bit better, but overall has not had the best year. Jay Abernathy kind of in that category. And then beyond that, it's just kind of a list of guys who are really still trying to figure it out. So I think it's a team that has talent. It wouldn't be a surprise to me if they end up turning it around late and maybe make some sort of push that gets them in as a 3 seed. We've seen a number of SEC teams do exactly that over the last couple of years. Florida in 2024 comes to mind. 1 game above 500 at the end of the regular season. They end up pushing all the way to Omaha. Do I think Tennessee's that caliber? Probably not. But do they have the pieces to make a similar run? Possibly. I mean, the rotation does have some premium stuff. Keegan Coons to us is a first-round pick. Landon Mack to us is a future first-round pick. Evan Blanco is an experienced senior left-hander who's around the zone. He's proven. He even has results this season. And then you got guys like Brandon Arvidsson, Bo Rudy out of the bullpen, who we like a lot in a draft context as well. So the talent is there. The performance has not been lately, and their current trend is one that misses the tournament.
Last one here, and your time appreciated so much here on this Monday, Jacob. Georgia goes to Starkville and gets a sweep. LSU will be in Starkville 3 weeks from now. They'll be in Athens closer to the end of the season. How real is Wes Johnson's team at Georgia?
I think very. And you go back to the preseason. Georgia's been one of the teams that we've liked a lot. I had them in my preseason 8 for Omaha, way too early projection of the final 18 standing. I think that all they've done so far this year has validated that expectation. When it comes to Georgia over the last couple of years, there's been no shortage of stuff on the mound. Wes Johnson does an amazing job of going and finding guys in the transfer portal who are going to come out and look like SEC starters in terms of just what they're throwing. Last year was Brian Curley. He's got a high 90s fastball, a couple of breaking balls, but the consistency of what that turned into was not great. He had some bad starts. We've seen some bullpen pieces that have loud stuff at Georgia over the last couple of years kind of fizzle out towards the end of the season. This year feels different to me because I actually think that they have the horses on the mound. Joey Volchko, to me, is one of the most intriguing starters in the country. I think Kenny Ishikawa, who hasn't necessarily been great since coming back from breaking his foot, will eventually round into form and has been good. I see a couple of bullpen pieces there that are really intriguing to me, like Matt Scott, who transferred with Joey Volchko from Stanford. And then the bats are the bats. It's always been, loud Georgia offense. They lead the SEC in home runs. They do take advantage of a, reasonably favorable environment at Foley Field for hitting, but it's traveled this year. They went into Starkville and they hit and they won a couple of games. And so I think that this is a team that is doing it a little bit differently than the past couple of Georgia teams. The talent is the same. The results are a lot better. And that's been the question for Wes Johnson now for 4 seasons, and I think that this finally is the team that looks like it could go and make a really deep run.
We'll be on the lookout for that Field of 64 released on Wednesday over at Baseball America. Jacob Rudner, National College Baseball reporter for the folks at Baseball America. Really appreciate some time. Great stuff.
Thanks for having me.
He is Jacob Rudner. As I mentioned there, I know that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking UCLA and Georgia Tech baseball on this show. That's not where our bread is buttered. That's not something you want to hear about all the time. But I personally am starting to take some notes on some of the top teams in the country because I wrote this on Around the Horn today, and I feel this today. If you ask me, and this is my opinion, this is not fact, it's my opinion, what's LSU going to end up doing this year? I think they're going to travel for a regional. I don't think this team's going to host. I'll be thrilled if I'm proven wrong, and if they snap out of it and they get better starting pitching and they continue to hit and they hit some aces and they play a little bit better defense and they end up winning 16 league games and host, that's awesome. But I don't think that's going to happen, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. And so where might they get sent? Well, Atlanta, LA, those are options. Hattiesburg is another option. I don't know if Coastal is an option potentially, but some of those are better than others. I'd much rather be in Hattiesburg or in Myrtle Beach than LA. I do not want any part of that UCLA team in that environment. It's a very favorable environment for them. There's nobody in the stands. I would rather LSU fans be able to travel a little bit and play a team that's lesser than that. But I am paying attention to some of the top teams in the country because if LSU travels, that's what you're going to see. And so wanted to get up just a thumbnail on some of those teams and how they're playing. UCLA hadn't lost in 5 weeks, I don't think. It's been a minute since they dropped a game. Georgia Tech is swinging the bats like crazy. So we'll see. I just wanted to get kind of a thought on some of the national teams as well as some of the teams in the SEC. Jacob said they'll have LSU sent to Westwood this Wednesday. That would not be ideal in any way because that's a really good UCLA team. I wasn't that impressed with them in Omaha last year, but they're a year older and they've got some new pieces, especially with Will Gasparino in the lineup. So it'll be interesting. But LSU's got to take care of their own business. That's winning baseball games. So thanks to Jacob for giving us a little time here on this Monday. We'll take a time out, come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go take a tour of Marucci. Marucci is the official bat of Major League Baseball. It's right here in Baton Rouge. Started out 2 decades ago in a backyard shed, and it's grown into a global brand. And you can go see where they make 1,200 bats every single day. You can grab one. You can go hit in the cages. See the Hitter's House. If you take a tour, the Hitter's House store, 20% off. And the Campus Tour store, 20% off. Get that ticket, maruccisports.com/campus-tour. Take your youth softball team. Take your youth baseball team. Take your kids. Go yourself. Step into the heart of the game. It's there at Marucci. Online at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. That's our friends at Marucci.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Shout out to Rachel Fricky and the awesome team at Guarantee Health Solutions. Such a cool venture here for us under the Guarantee roof. And Rachel's got a background in hospitality. She worked in the hotel industry for years. And unfortunately, her mother got diagnosed with cancer back in 2009. And Rachel saw that process from the patient side and said, this is just so impersonal, so transactional, and quite frankly, miserable. This can be improved upon with some hospitality. And fast forward, that's what helped launch Guarantee Health Solutions. Their job there at Guarantee Health Solutions is to make sure that the patient journey through your healthcare facility is a quality one. How many clicks is it to care? How easy is it to access care digitally? What's your brand like? When the patient does come in for that appointment, what's the experience like? Does the front desk treat them properly? How do you know that they're going to come back for those annuals? Are you properly keeping up with that? What's your marketing situation? All these things are the bread and butter for Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. So if you're in healthcare, whether you're a private clinic or dental office, hospital, urgent care, no matter what space you're in, and you don't know how those things are being handled or if you're up to par. Guarantee Health Solutions can help you with that. Check them out online at guaranteehealth.com. That's guaranteehealth.com. All right, we're just about done here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate y'all starting your work week with us. Hope it's off to a good start after a holiday weekend. Let's do the only thing we've got left to do today. Let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, Hunt, so it's Masters Week. So the full menu of concession items for the 2026 Masters was revealed on Monday, featuring the iconic egg salad sandwich, the pimento cheese sandwich, and the new Masters candy bar. The entire menu, if you wanted to buy the whole thing, it's $75.75. Domestic beer, $6. So is it outrageous that the Superdome prices are what they are?
Yes.
Take it or leave it.
It's very little to do with the Masters. It just is what it is. It's just like there was something on the Final Four price list that I saw the other day. Oh, it was a bottle of water.
Okay, what it was?
And it was like $11 or something.
Oh, bottle of water.
And it's like, when you're the person who's in charge of making that decision and that's what you're doing, like, I can't take you seriously. I understand how revenues work and how supply and demand works, and I understand all that stuff. You just shouldn't do it. You shouldn't be charging that for a bottle of water. Bottle of water should cost $3 tops. At the tops. And we just have worked ourselves into this garbage where everything you buy at a sporting event is an arm and a leg. And it just doesn't have to be that way. I think it's greedy. I think it costs teams money. I think the Falcons have proven that.
Yes.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer that beer costs $20 at a Saints game. That's a bummer.
Yes, the Falcons definitely figured it out, and the Phoenix Suns. They also have very cheap prices. So North Carolina tends to hire long-term NBA head coach Michael Malone as the next head basketball coach. He last won the Denver Nuggets their first NBA championship in 2023. 510 wins as an NBA head coach. So did UNC get better today? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. He's probably better than Hubert Davis, I would think. I mean,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Does he recruit? Does he handle the boosters? And
figure that
there's
out.
a lot of things going on there. I applaud them for going outside the box, for not just hiring the next guy that's got Tar Heel gym shorts in his closet.
His locker or something. Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird hire.
Very weird.
But it's a big name.
I'll tell you this. I saw
should have hired Nate Oates.
Oh, he just signed a new contract extension. He got extended. So I saw this. His daughter is a sophomore at UNC. She's on the volleyball team, Michael Malone. So that might have something to do with it, a little family ties. So UConn is taking hold on. Make sure I'm making this right. Okay, so UConn is taking measures to avoid a catastrophic event on campus on Monday if they win the national championship. So in 2023 and 2024, students tore down lampposts and were ramming buildings with them.
Okay.
So they have now removed the lampposts ahead of the game tonight. So does that mean UConn thinks they're going to win it all tonight? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. We're taking the lamppost down.
Taking the
lamppost
lamppost
down. We're doing
down.
in stores. Okay, that's great. That is. Look, I've said this a lot of times. I'm at least consistent. I don't expect drunk college kids to make very good decisions. I don't expect them to do that in the student section at Tiger Stadium. I don't expect them to do that in Storrs, Connecticut if they 100%. Win or lose a national championship. Drunk college kids are going to make bad decisions. If you expect the drunk college kids to make good decisions, that's probably on you. And so 100%. I guess the folks at the police department there in Storrs is expecting them to make bad decisions, so we'll take that decision-making ability away from them to an extent.
It's one of the first times I've seen a campus remove lampposts because they know they're going to tear them down and ram them into buildings. So that's one of one. So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Huskies, all right.
Oh, Huskies. Well, no, you're Michigan today. You're Michigan.
I mean, yeah, I'm just saying in terms of this story. That's wild stuff. I'm excited for tomorrow's show. We do get the opportunity to go watch LSU on the practice field tomorrow. We'll see them at 9:50, and I'll have a practice report up at LouisianaSports.net. Lane Kiffin will meet with the media tomorrow, so we'll have a lot of coverage on that tomorrow. We'll certainly react to the national title game tonight. LSU and Bethune-Cookman tomorrow. Incidentally, those of you that come to trivia on Tuesdays at Court to Table, no trivia tomorrow at Court to Table because I'm doing the color on the baseball game with Chris Blair on Tuesday evening against Bethune-Cookman. So get you a preview for that game as well. We'll talk Saints with Sharif Ishak. We'll talk some LSU with Glenn West. Lots going on tomorrow's show. If you missed any of today's show, well, that's a bummer, but that's okay. You can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. You can check us out at the Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your podcasts. You can also find us at Hunt on LSU. Had a lot of LSU football talk, a lot of LSU baseball talk today as well. So you can check that out at Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints as well. We had a story on ESPN.com today about the Saints potentially trading up to the 3rd pick in the draft. How do I feel about that? Well, you can find it at Hunt on Saints. Appreciate y'all for starting your work week off with us here on this Monday. Hope it has been a good start to the work week. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We'll have a lot of probably reaction on the weekend that was for the Tigers in Knoxville. Some LSU football from him as well. We're out of here. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Before we leave, let's tell you about Ochsner. Check them out online at ochsner.org/findcare. That's ochsner.org/findcare. That'll tell you where you need to go with your medical situation. That primary care visit is going to be a comprehensive and continuous visit. It's going to be immunizations, maybe some headaches, stomach aches that are mild, chronic disease management like blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, all those things. You can do those virtually as well, so check that out online. If you are looking for an urgent care, that might be a situation where you've got lacerations, abscesses, urinary pain, ear infections, maybe minor burns or rashes, skin irritations. That's where you need to head to the urgent care. Emergency care, that's going to be severe chest pain, severe bleeding, maybe head trauma or allergic reaction. And then you've got your 24/7 virtual care options, which are scheduling things online with my Ochsner. Call them at 1-800-231-5257. It's Ochsner. Primary care, urgent care,